Hello, I'm Toby Fox from 1.5 Million New Homes, the local government challenge sponsored by Redloft and Waits. We're investigating the role of local councils in the government's national ambition to deliver 1.5 million new homes. And to do that, we've come to Barking and Dagenham in London's East End, the council that's delivered more homes than any other council in recent years through its wholly owned development company, Be First. So we had a viewer inquiry recently about the squeezed middle. It's all very well talking about councils providing houses for social rent and so on, but what about the people in the middle income who can't get access to those? What are councils doing for them? So I decided to ask Anna Sinnott, who's head of consultancy, and Danny Taylor, who's a senior project manager, both at Be First, Barking and Dagenham Council's wholly owned development company, and Wendy Hegarty, who is a partner at the housing consultancy Redloft, about what might be available to those people. So Wendy, where are we?
This is Oysterman Place, and this is a Be First development. 79 homes for shared ownership here that Redloft are selling for Barking and Dagenham Reside. Launched recently, and we already have over 30 reserved, so lots of demand. Great location and a really good standard of finish here.
And what's the tenure?
Shared ownership. 79 homes for shared ownership.
Shared ownership.
Yes,
yeah.
There are some. There is a block of affordable rent as well, but we're just working on the shared ownership homes here.
Okay, and what's the point of shared ownership? What is that? What's it all about?
So shared ownership gives people access to some home ownership. They otherwise known as part buy, part rent. It means they get long-term security of tenure. You know, a lot more choice as to which property they want to buy, and it's accessible in terms of you only need a smaller deposit. The one bedrooms here, for example, start at £291,000, and people are buying those with only a £4,000 deposit. £4,000 deposit. Household income needs to be around about 34,000 a year, and the total monthly costs are just over £1,000 a year for a brand new property, really high specification, and as I say, long-term security of tenure.
So some of the downsides that, as I understand it as a layman, about shared ownership are that although you only get part of the ownership for a building, if there's something wrong with that building, you have part of the liability for that. And obviously in terms of Grenfell and what's happened with cladding, I mean, that's an issue that kind of puts people off shared ownership. Is that right? And what's your response?
That is right in terms of leasehold properties generally. There's some negativity about certain aspects of leasehold, and there are some leasehold reform Act coming in later on. There's also a new shared ownership code being developed for providers to provide guidance and best practice for the longevity of that tenure. But yes, you buy 25%, you own 25% of the equity, you pay rent on the other 75%, you pay service charges, which can go up because cost of provision from third-party suppliers can go up. So over a period of time, your rent might increase, and if you don't staircase, that's where you buy more equity, then over a period of time, your rent, can go up. At the same time, though, where you've purchased equity, if there's any market rise in the value of that equity, then that's your as the leaseholder, you benefit from that.
Yeah, so and hopefully that's in balance or greater than any increase in rent.
Yes, and over time you can opt, if you want to buy further shares in the property and reduce the amount of rent you pay. Obviously you increase your mortgage, but you also increase the amount of equity you own, and over a period of time, in most cases, as is here, you could own 100% of the property, 100% of the property.
Right, so you could end up with full ownership of the property, and that's what's called staircasing.
Yes, that is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So if we've got a viewer who says, I've got a problem, I'm watching all these videos and it's you talking to councils about providing affordable homes for people who can't afford market rents or the market price of a house, and developers who are providing luxury flats and big family homes that wealthier people can access. Is shared ownership, is this product the answer for that viewer?
Yes, for some people it is a brilliant product. It's not the right product for everybody. You still need regular income to sustain the mortgage that you need, and if you can afford to buy outright, then why would you not? And but actually, this product is for people who can't afford that, whether they can't afford the deposit or the monthly outgoings associated with private purchase.
So if that's the case, why isn't there more of this type of house available?
Well, I would argue that there should be. I've been selling shared ownership homes for over 30 years, and it's always been a popular product. There's loads of demand for it. We regularly attend, like the London Home Show, for example, where we have 5,000 people typically on a day looking for shared ownership in and around London. So it's a really good product for the people whose needs it meets. And we could do with more of it. Obviously, with providers, particularly local authorities, there's a pressing need for affordable rent, so that often takes priority. But I think in terms of shared ownership, it's a very credible product in its own right and meets that middle target group perfectly.
So, Danny, are we providing the houses for the whole of the market, for all of the different types of people that need them in Barking and Dagenham?
I think you're right. I think we are primarily looking at affordable housing. That seems to be the area that we're producing most of. But there are some private sale in there as well. We've got the London Living Rent, which gives people a step up onto the home ownership route, and also shared ownership in there as well. So I think we've got it covered, but I think you'd be right to say, yes, the main focus is affordable.
Okay. So, and what's your take on that? Do you agree with that? Is the planning process doing enough to provide for all the different sort of sectors of people in Barking and Dagenham?
Yeah, I mean, I do think there is a need, to really think about some other kind of affordable products that maybe try and hit, real like London workers' sort of needs. And that's something I think it's definitely worth exploring, because I do think it doesn't, there's quite a big gap between affordable and private at the moment. And, that who sort of is in need of affordable home is just actually increasing quite rapidly. Yeah. I do think we also need to just go back to the big issue of there's not enough homes in general. Yeah. And that starts to solve some of those problems as well, when you've just got such a dramatic undersupply historically as well. That's sort of key too. But yeah, I think a broader range, and really looking at some of, those working Londoners who don't qualify for an affordable home but have not many other options.
So is your message to local authorities like Barking and Dagenham and local authority companies like Be First, build more homes like that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, just so there's the full range of products. What we quite often see with JVs and is affordable rent, private, and as you say, is that gap in the middle where there's a real need to help people on those middle incomes.
So is your message to our viewer that more of those houses are coming forward?
I think the message is that it's a real issue, and it's an appropriate question to ask. I think they're in places, those homes are coming forward, but I think it's something that we need to look at a lot more closely and really think about in terms of the overall viability of a scheme, but also who's going to occupy the homes as well.
I know of one very large scheme that we're doing at the moment, which we have got all the different tenures in. Yeah. So we do have London Living Rent in there.
Okay.
We do have shared ownership. We do have affordable rent.
Which scheme is that?
That's Bean Park Phase 6. Yep. So there's 520 units, but it's a good split. There is the potential, obviously, to do more in Bean Park as well. But yeah, it's just the key there, as I was just mentioned, was getting it right when we actually go into the development agreement with the contractor. So we all know what we're delivering.
So that wraps up another episode of 1.5 Million New Homes, the Local Government Challenge, brought to you by Redloft and Waits. We're going to be back next month talking to another council, but in the meantime, if you could click like or subscribe, it would really help us. Thank you very much for watching.